All right, welcome. Today, we're diving into a world where divinity isn't, up in the heavens or on some grand cosmic scale. Nope, we are talking about the gods of the small, the forgotten, the everyday things that live in the cracks of the pavement and the dust on our shelves.
So, the story kicks off with this absolutely incredible premise. I mean, forget your big-time thunder gods and all-powerful cosmic beings. We're talking about the gods of lost keys, of perfectly brewed coffee. These little deities that are literally born from our tiny, specific human needs, and they just exist in the forgotten corners of the world. And this is the question, right? This is what pulls you straight into the heart of the story. Because it's one thing for these little gods to exist out there, but what on earth happens when a totally ordinary person suddenly finds themselves responsible for them?
So the whole idea here, the big concept, is that divinity can be found, well, anywhere. These aren't gods of huge abstract ideas like love or war. They're gods of very, very specific human moments, prayers whispered for the smallest, most everyday miracles. They exist simply because someone, somewhere, at some point, needed them to.
Okay, so let's get into it, because this is where we meet our protagonist. And her, completely normal, kind of stuck life is about to get very, very weird.
And our protagonist, Maya, is just so relatable, Her dream of working in a gallery fell through, and now she's in this temp job at a charity shop. She's got that feeling that her life is supposed to be somewhere else entirely, but she has no idea how to get there. It's that quiet desperation a lot of us can probably recognize.
And this is it. This is the exact moment where the magical just crashes headfirst into the mundane. Maya's doing her job, sorting through a donation box full of the usual, junk. And there, tucked between a chip teapot and some ancient computer manuals, she finds it. A little ceramic figure that just feels different. To anyone else, it's worthless, but it's not.
And then, almost like she was waiting in the wings, this mysterious customer, Mrs. Kapoor, shows up. She looks at the little figure, looks at Maya, and just lays this wonderfully ominous warning on her. See, Maya doesn't just have a weird ornament, she has what Mrs. Kapoor calls the sight. And yeah, her life is never, ever going to be the same.
Okay, so here's the thing. This isn't just some passive superpower. If you can see the gods, you now have a responsibility to them. Maya is officially a keeper, and there's a whole rule book she's got to learn, and fast.
And what's so fascinating about this, right, is that these little gods, they don't need giant temples or, sacrifices. Their sustenance is way simpler, way more personal. They're basically fed by being noticed, by having someone just acknowledge they exist. So a keeper's job is to give them a home, to listen to their story, and then, the most important part, to help them do the job they were created to do.
So what happens next? Well, once that first god has kind of marked her, Maya basically becomes a lighthouse for every other lost and forgotten deity out there. And her tiny little apartment starts to get very crowded very, very quickly.
And the gods that start showing up are just brilliantly specific. It's fantastic. First up is this little guy, carved from a piece of asphalt, with a white line painted on it. His whole divine purpose in life? To help you find a parking spot. We've all prayed to him, right?
Then another one appears. This one's made from two pieces of wood glued together, and it was created by a couple who were on the brink of a nasty divorce. It's a god dedicated to making sure disagreements get resolved, that they don't just tear everything apart.
And this one is just perfect. It shows you the exact scale we're talking about here. A tiny figure made from coffee grounds and wax, whose only miracle is making sure your morning brew is absolutely perfect. These gods handle the small stuff, the everyday needs that the big deities are way too busy to bother with. So get this, in just 1 month, that's how many gods she's got shacking up with her. 17 divine refugees, each with their own unique story and purpose, all crammed into her little studio apartment.
But of course, it's not all fun and games, right? It's not all quirky, charming little gods. This is where the story raises the stakes, big time. Maya finds a god that is so powerful, so concentrated in its purpose, that it threatens her entire collection, and maybe even her own sanity.
She finds him in a charity bin, of all places. A figure carved from this polished black stone, just hunched over in a posture of pure, undiluted sorrow. And the moment she touches it, she knows. This is different.
This isn't a small god. It's a god of a small thing that contains an absolutely enormous power. Grief.
And the effect, it's immediate, and it is devastating. This god radiates sorrow like a physical force. The little plants on her windowsill, which had been doing great under the care of her first god, they just wilt and die.
And her other gods? They react like little animals sensing a huge predator nearby. They shrink back, their light dims. The god of sorrows is just so saturated with his purpose that he poisons the very air around him, his anguish completely overwhelming the small, hopeful purposes of all the others.
And when this god finally speaks to her, his words they reveal everything. He's not evil, he's a vessel. He was created to witness and contain the grief of the people who believed in him. But over centuries, he has absorbed so much pain that he's full, he's overflowing. He can't contain the sorrow anymore. He has become the sorrow.
So, what do you do with a god that's too powerful to keep? This is the crisis, right? And it forces Maya to look beyond just being a collector of gods and to discover the real, true meaning of her new job.
And this is the huge realization for Maya. Her job isn't to be a curator in a museum of divine artifacts. Her job is to be a divine social worker. She's a bridge connecting these forgotten powers to the world that needs them, even if it doesn't know it. It's a profound idea. Her purpose isn't found by looking up at the stars, but by looking around her community.
And so she finds the perfect home for him, a hospice for refugees and asylum seekers, a place filled with people carrying unimaginable trauma and loss. And here, in this place, the god's overwhelming grief isn't a poison. It's a validation. It doesn't add to their pain. It witnesses it. It confirms that their sorrow is real and vast and worthy of divine attention.
And that's really the thought that this whole story leaves you with, isn't it? If these small gods are born from our deepest, most specific needs, well, what about us? In our world of notifications, deadlines, and digital anxieties, what are the small prayers we're whispering? What forgotten gods are waiting in the cracks of our own lives, just hoping to be seen?